it. Let's get to it. Streakers Island Podcast is going live on a Friday. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst. Over to the side of me is Mr. Chazzy, the CEO himself, and special friend of the program, Lane Dashing-Co.
I had to shave so I would look more dashing on camera instead of showing up with a full beard. It was kind of getting annoying. So I was like, let's get rid of it. I got to show off my smooth baby face today.
Oh, come on. There's nothing more dashing than a smooth face Lane Dashco.
That's right. It shows the extra weight, but I mean, hey, the ladies love it. So what can I say?
Hey, that's the main thing.
Well, it's that first round playoff beard.
That's right. Now you start the next round because I have my mustache, my beard grows so fast I can't just keep. I got to start fresh every round.
It's when you get to that itching stage.
Seriously, yeah.
And that's when you got to shave it off.
Yeah, it got there for sure. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the island, Lane.
I appreciate it. Just don't leave me here. Make sure I get the helicopter picks me up at the airport to get me out here as well.
The lifeboats are on standby.
Perfect.
You can just
we have a craziness going on lately because the first round has not, at least for me, has not disappointed. There's been no disappointment in it. It's been very entertaining. Some surprises too, which is always exciting to see. I gotta say, I did not expect the Tampa Bay Lightning to only win one game. I don't know how you guys feel on the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I really thought they were going to be able to rock and roll a lot more than win one.
Yeah, that's definitely disappointing. You got to, if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, I mean, I know they've kind of had rough luck lately in the playoffs. They're kind of looking like the Pittsburgh Penguins of those last few years where like they get in there, but you're not really feeling 100% confident on what they can do. You're kind of like, yeah, they're making it every year and they've got those regular season wins to get them there, but you're not feeling overly confident that they can get the job done. I agree with you, Jacob. I think the one win is really disappointing for them, especially, and they might need to start looking at what they're going to do because they're kind of starting to win towards, kind of starting to rebuild there as well.
Well, and what's interesting to see too is Kucherov has really been quiet of late in the playoffs. But I don't know if did you guys hear about all the injuries Tampa had going at the end of this series?
Well, you had a fresh Panthers, right? That was the big question we all had going in. Like Marchand healthy now at the end of the season, while Tkachuk, like he's the ace in the hole, right? So, and you have him fresh and ready to go. So,
well, you look too is like Hedman, Kucherov, Hagel, Sorelli, and Bjorkstrand were all injured during that series. Right? Like that's like one of the players too. He actually had to have a doctor visit him at home. He was so banged up at one point. They weren't sure if he was going to go. So like Kucherov and Sorelli both were dealing with MCL sprains. Hagel had a concussion. I don't quite remember what Hedman's injury was, but there was a lot of injuries to this Tampa Bay Lightning squad. So I'm not totally surprised after seeing all the injuries, but you would think of all the trades they made to get better that they would have done more than win one game.
Yeah, for sure. And, like you said, Jacob, a big talking point is that the fact that the series kind of didn't start for 5 days. And if you're at the Tampa Bay Lightning, like from a perspective if I'm a fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning or even in the ownership, I'm not really too happy with that. I mean, the season ended on Thursday and then you had 5 days before you got to play. And if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm the home team. I got to wait now a week before I play my first game. Well, Florida gets to sit there and heal up with Matthew Tkachuk and all their injuries that they had with Sam Bennett, Tkachuk, Ekblad was suspended, but they had a whole week there to sit on the beach, get tanned, have some fun, relax. Like, I just don't think that was fair for a team that had the home ice advantage to have to wait like almost a week to start their first game. I kind of felt like it threw them off big time and got them in the hole early there.
You make a great point, actually. Like the schedule was really weird to start off in general. I think a part of it was too for those California teams who had to have makeup games towards the end due to the wildfires. But at the same time, the NHL needs to do a better job. It was weird the Leaf series not starting right away either. Or maybe that was a good thing for Toronto so they could get some golfing in since they're hopefully going to go a bit longer than than they normally would. But I think what surprised me the most about this Lightning series, though, was the games weren't close. Like game 5, Florida doubled them up 6-3. Game 4, Florida doubled them up 4-2. Tampa's one win was a 5-1 win. And then Florida wins 2-0 game 2 and 6-2 game 1. I really thought this was going to be a tighter series. I thought this was going to be a, hang on for dear life, 7-game series. And it just wasn't.
No, it wasn't. That's for sure. I don't know what's changed. I don't know where Tampa Bay goes from here. Like I said, I still think they're a good regular season team, but obviously they need to kind of evaluate where they are. I think the thing about Vasilevsky is everyone knows what his weakness is. You take shots from the point, they're most likely going in. So they got to try to figure out a way to work around his weakness. As the last few years, you're seeing the weakness, and now teams are just running that playbook every game, and it seems to be working. They got to try to figure a way to stop it.
And look who decided Mr. More for Your Money himself. His mic is turned off. He's going to turn on the mic and then scream into it.
Save the best to last, right?
That's right.
Cross started 2 hours ago. Oh, am I late?
One thing we're going to do right away, because we all know Dan likes to eat the ticker. We will move him to the top corner so he cannot. So, Dan, just catch you up to speed. We've just been talking about the Lightning series and how we were kind of surprised that Tampa was just never in it.
What a shocker that was.
Oh, Dan's getting his milkshake ready.
Yeah, bro. The milk's in the yard.
All the boys to the yard.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Tampa just never competed in this thing.
Yeah, it was an odd one for sure. But that was kind of the one series that I was a little surprised. Everything else was pretty much where I was kind of thinking it would be. Like, yeah, Vegas 4-2 over the Wild.
That's what I'm shocked about. I thought Vegas was going to sweep.
I don't know, Dan. It's tough to say because Minnesota, once they got Kaprizov and Eriksson back, they're a very different team. It's kind of like if the Leafs didn't have Matthews and Nylander. Who knows? Maybe they'd be better. But
maybe that's a possible. But we got to talk about that because they almost didn't. But we'll get into that.
Oh my gosh, yeah! What a Craig. I'm not sure if you heard about that clerical error the Leafs coaching made. They've actually put Alexander Nylander on the starting roster sheets instead of William Nylander.
So what happens?
So
basically, yeah.
So
before, is there a time?
So if no one caught it, Willie would not have played Game 6.
Oh, yeah. Wow!
Luckily, someone caught it before they dropped the puck.
Someone's getting fired.
Oh yeah.
So who was he thinking of when he wrote the first name?
They put his brother in, Alex Nylander.
AHL winner.
Can you? It's like William Nylander had a huge game in that elimination game for Toronto, 2 goals and an assist.
3 points, yeah.
Like he realistically, out of the core 4, he had the best night out of anyone from the core 4.
And it was his birthday.
Happy birthday!
So how happy were you guys to see Patches score when he did, knowing that the roster changed going into Game 6, but Berube did not.
I called it. I said, do not play Nick Robertson and play Patches, because that's why you signed him. He's a big body and big in those big moments.
And Patches looked dangerous all night, whether he was playing on the second line or the third line that game. He was bringing a physicality to the group that the team just doesn't always have, right? So you got to give Berube credit. His calm demeanor got Toronto through one round. Now, Sheldon Keefe only did that once in his many years. Now Berube's done it in his first year. So can Berube do any better than Keefe and make it to the next round? We don't know yet. Can he get to that conference finals? Because that's, Lane, I don't know if you agree. I want to ask your opinion. We've talked on the island saying for the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's conference finals or blow it up.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I looked at it the last time, the last time when they got to the second round, of course I was happy because it was the first time we saw anything positive happen in the first 8 years. I was like, yeah, this is great. Like, I'm happy. And then they lost 4-1, and I was kind of like, well, what was the point of that? You get to the point where, like, that happiness was so short-lived. You were just like, I was almost more mad. I was like, we should have just went out in 7 at that point. I would have rather just let them go hit the golf course a week early, get their meetings in and stuff. I know. I look at it like you're at the point with this Leafs core that I don't think, like, even as a fan, no matter what happens, I don't think we're going to be really satisfied unless they like show that they have been competitive, get to a third round, maybe get to a Stanley Cup final. Then you're going to feel like maybe you're not as sad. You're more back into that where we were when we lost to Washington, where you're like, we had a great year. That's nothing to be negative about.
Right.
But as of right now, I feel like the second round's not going to cut it. You know, we've had 8 years of this core of Willie, Matthews, Marner, Nylander. They've been here. They've gone to the dance every year. They always try to find the partner. They end up going home alone. They can't find the dance partner. They got to keep pushing. They got to keep going. They got to keep trucking. We need to see. Yeah, they're going to get their golf clubs. I know that it's probably killing them that they're not at the Oakville golf course right now shooting on their handicap right now. But
as we used to say in car sales, they can't even close the toilet seat.
That's right.
Can we go around the island here with you guys? And like, how concerned are you going into this Panthers series, knowing that they just took the Lightning out in 5?
I'm a little uneasy. I'm sitting on little pins and needles. I mean, they took Tampa out in 5, which was way better than Ottawa, and it took us and Crybaby Brady Tkachuk 6.
Irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
And the thing is, if the Leafs, for this core to stay together, they have to beat the best teams. And I would argue Florida and Toronto are the 2 best teams in the East. I'm sorry, Washington. If Sam Montembeault didn't get injured, you lose that series. I am calling that right now. I think
Montreal played really good.
Montreal could have easily beat Washington. And I'm sorry,
played well. We can't blame it on him.
Worst team, and no offense, Craig, the worst team in the dance. You look at the stats, you look at the goal differential, you look at the points, you look at the depth. Montreal was the worst team, and Washington had a hell of a time beating them.
I disagree with you.
5 games.
I disagree with you.
So you're telling me if Montembeault didn't get hurt and Ovechkin didn't get the game misconduct he should have gotten, you honestly think Washington was winning that series?
No, that's not what I disagree with you with. I disagree that Montreal was the worst team. I think New Jersey was the worst team in the playoffs, number 1. Number 2, whether it was Montembeault or Dobis, I don't think it made a difference. I think Dobis played very, very well.
He played okay.
I mean, he played okay.
In the first start he was in, 2 of the goals he let in were weird. They were off bad defensive plays, but they're ones you need your goalie to make a save. Am I blaming Dobis? Absolutely not. He is kind of like Calvin Pickard in Edmonton. He was not expected to be your number 1 goalie at any point in a playoff.
AHL wonder.
But I'm just saying, I honestly feel Toronto and Florida are the 2 best teams in the East. Whoever wins that series goes to the Cup Finals.
What was the regular season series between them?
Florida won 3-1.
Yeah.
Don't forget, last time
Toronto lost all 3 games against the Senators in the regular season.
What?
Regular season means nothing. All it means is you make it to this, which actually means something.
Last time when Toronto played Florida, Domi had that legendary fight to center ice. So that was pretty cool.
I just look at it and I feel like out of the teams in the East, whoever wins out of the Atlantic will go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
I agree.
So this is Toronto's best chance.
Yeah.
Even if Carolina beats Washington.
Yeah, I'm not caring.
Carolina's not beating Washington.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I mean, I'm going to call that now. I'd be shocked.
Look at Wilson. Wilson literally took it over.
Anderson would actually have to stay like rock solid, which
is he even playing in the second round?
Well, we don't.
Right?
Have they disclosed anything on his injury? What was it?
It's just when he got ran over.
Concussed?
We don't know, but like we know if Anderson, he definitely has health problems.
Yeah.
But I am going to say, Alex, I'm not, from his comment that he posted earlier, I don't think the Leafs are going golfing just yet. But we got to wait at least 4 more games.
At least, right?
I honestly feel.
Don't disappoint Lane.
This is the most equipped Leaf team with this core we've had. They have depth scoring. They have defense. They have goaltending. If the core 4 shows up, they can do it. But that's the big if. And I get people say, well, it's not just the core 4. No, it's not. It's a team effort. But because against Ottawa, I argued at times the Lawton line was Toronto's best line.
Oh, 100%.
That line was sport checking, hitting, blocking shots. But Alex makes a very great point in the comment section here. Depends on which version of Bobrovsky shows up here. And Alex, I agree with you 100% there. Like, Bobrovsky is one of those goalies that can really steal a series. And I even look back to the last game between Florida and Tampa. It was 3-2, and Bobrovsky makes this one save that was just absolutely huge.
He outgoaltended Vasilevsky.
Oh, he played way better than Vasilevsky.
Which is hard to do.
But Toronto also does a great job at blocking shots and getting shots of traffic. This is really
I just thought of something.
Okay, Mr. Thought Bubble.
Yeah, boom, mind blown. So we're going to see Bobrovsky versus Storovs, which Bobrovsky was one of the mental Storovs, kind of like what do you call that? Like in wrestling and karate and stuff, like when the master passes it on to the kids.
The sensei.
Thank you, sensei. So this is going to be interesting, bro. I just thought of that. Holy cow!
Yeah, it is the goalie tandem of the Stanley Cup champions facing each other. That it is.
And also, too, though, you do have OEL and Lorentz on Toronto, who used to play for Florida.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. That's will be I think in the East, this is the series to keep the most attention to it. I'm not just saying it as a Leaf fan. I'm saying it as a hockey fan.
Yeah,
it's going to be explosive.
Like, this is the series that if anyone gets it done, it will be that. So apparently, Dan, you got your inner ninja.
Yeah. Right. Need to classify into ninja. Boom, boom, boom.
But I want to ask you guys about the Winnipeg game coming up tonight. How are you feeling as a Jets fan? I think the Winnipeg fans are feeling as much pins and needles as Leaf fans.
100%.
Because
more motivation, no, with the your stud out, Scheifele?
But they're getting Ehlers back and Iafallo. So you are getting and Velarde. So you're getting some big players back, but this is a game that Hellebuyck has to show he's not a regular season goalie.
The problem is Scheifele's like your franchise player, right?
You have to figure it out.
Yeah.
You are the best team in the NHL facing one of the worst teams that made the playoffs statistically. You can't lose this series.
No.
There is no excuses for when it would we be making this excuse for the Leafs if Austin Matthews or William Nylander got injured? No, we would not. And that's one thing I have said that drives me nuts. I feel people put way too much of a higher standard on Toronto than they do to any other club in the NHL.
Yeah, but Winnipeg doesn't have a Cole forward. It doesn't have one good. Well,
That
I guess
is not
Kyle
true.
Connor, right?
You have Josh Morrissey, who's arguably one of the he's a top 10 defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah.
You have Mark Scheifele, who's a top 10 center in the NHL.
Yeah.
And you have Connor Hellebuyck, who's the best goalie in the NHL.
And
So
Kyle
Except for
Connor.
in the playoffs.
And Kyle Connor.
Yeah,
And Kyle Connor, who's a 40 goal scorer. So, Dan,
Yeah.
I completely and wholeheartedly disagree with you there. There's just not as much hype because Winnipeg fans are more intelligent.
Yeah.
And there's less media pressure there because, let's be honest, right now in Winnipeg, all the media pressure is on the Blue Bombers, not the Jets,
Right.
who have been to the Grey Cup 5 years and only won twice.
Yeah.
I'd be concerned if you lose tonight, no?
Very. Like, mind
Like,
you, the Blues are a
Halifax
very
only had
good home team.
19 shots. 19 shots last game. Game 5.
And the Blues are a great home team, and they've really struggled. The Jets have really struggled in St. Louis in the regular season and for this playoff run. I think Winnipeg has to get it done tonight.
I think it's going a 7.
So do I.
I said from day one this series is going a 7.
But I mean, for Winnipeg, if you're a Winnipeg fan, I feel you feel the same way Toronto fans do. We're sick and tired of going out first round to teams we should beat.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
If you look at Winnipeg's runs, okay, Colorado, fine. You can say it's Colorado, but you still got slaughtered by them.
Yeah.
And Winnipeg has just not been able to get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah, and when I commented last time before we spoke before the last game, all about Connor Hellebuyck, and tonight, just like the Leafs had to erase their demons, he's got to erase his demons tonight. You look on the road on average in the playoffs in his career, 5.72 goals against average.
Oh,
Whoa.
Wow.
That is an actual stat. He is the 6th worst goalie in the NHL history on the road. That was
That's
coming as a
scary.
Sports Center. They dropped that about 30 minutes ago. I mean, I know we talked about it. You, yeah, hella fraud for sure. You've rode with him. We talked about this. I know when I commented in on the last game, we said, do you start Comrie? Do you go with Hellebuck? You guys said Hellebuck. He did show up at home. He brought the win. Even though it was a little streaky, he did get the win there. But this is where it comes down to. Every home game has been won by the home team. This has gone exactly how a playoff scenario should go. You win at home, you win at home, you win at home. No one's lost on the road in this series at all. This would be the first time the Winnipeg Jets could win on the road, take up the Blues, and move on to the second round and try to prove and try to get some traction under their wheels, just like the Leafs are trying to do on the East as well. But it's going to come down to that guy in the net, Connor Hellebuck. Can he get his composure on a road game and bring it home for the Winnipeg Jets?
Because I mean, for Winnipeg, it's a tough road for them. Is remember, if they get through, they're either facing Dallas or Colorado. And
I know
it's not easy to St. Louis, but it's the same thing. All the Leaf media is going on about Toronto. You're facing a much tougher opponent the next round. And Dan, before you say St. Louis is a great team, I agree with you that they are. But Dallas and Colorado are cup contenders.
Yeah, I agree.
All the Blues a cup contender this year.
No.
I mean,
next year,
any team that makes the dance has a chance of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Look, when we saw the year of the COVID year, Montreal finished 10th in the East, which got them a playoff spot that year. And they went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals to get slaughtered by Tampa, but they still got there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you can't count anyone out. But for Winnipeg, this is where I get a little frustrated with a lot of people. No one's talking about, well, Winnipeg wins this, they're just going to get slaughtered next round so they could barely beat St. Louis. Wow. St. Louis and Ottawa are very comparable rosters.
I think St. Louis is better than Ottawa.
I would argue Ottawa is more top-end talent than St. Louis.
Really?
Who's scoring in St. Louis besides Kyrou and Shen?
Oh, I was going to say Kyrou.
And are you telling me Kyrou is better than Stützle and Batherson?
No.
I
don't think so.
No.
See, well, Robert Thomas, though.
You're telling me Robert Thomas is better than Tim Stützle?
No.
Well, they're both okay.
Tim Stützle was throwing 6 hits a game while flying around the ice. Pretty sure Robert Thomas, he's been banged up this series too.
Wow.
The only spot the Blues have it versus a team like Ottawa is Jordan Binnington is a completely different goalie in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So is Connor Hellebuck. The problem is he switches to Jordan Binnington in the regular season.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys are saying if you're in your Streakers app right now, you're going to be punching the ticket for St. Louis to push this to 7.
I think so, yeah.
I'm going to take the Jets.
You're saying the Jets? I'm also taking the Jets.
I said a rivalry to everyone today, so we'll see what happens.
I picked it up.
If I'm going to be as critical as I am on the Leafs, like you said, Jacob, I got to be as critical to the Winnipeg Jets. And if I'm seeing similar scenarios here where it's like, you're going to pick on the Leafs, you got to pick on Connor Hellebuck because he hasn't proven it either. We'll see if he can tonight, but this is going to go back to that Four Nations battle. And that's going to be in his head tonight that I lost that Four Nations battle to Jordan Binnington. I have a chance to eliminate him. I have a chance to get the upper end on this end of the season, kind of get the last laugh in his home barn. We'll see if he does it. Let's hope the Winnipeg. I hope the Canadian teams get in. I want to see the Winnipeg Jets over the St. Louis Blues 100%. But again, it just comes down to can Connor Hellebuck block up the noise, make the saves, and get the Jets in there. And if he can, then it's going to be an easy night for them. But it all starts in that net.
Well, you look at it too. Binnington's allowing almost 2 goals per game less in this series than Hellebuck is.
It's a big difference.
That's a huge difference in a series where realistically in the regular season, Winnipeg felt they always had the advantage in goaltending. Also, breaking down the team stats a little bit, the Blues have a better power play and a better penalty kill, and they've been better on faceoffs than the Winnipeg Jets. And that's not going to be any easier without Mark Scheifele in your lineup for Winnipeg, right? Like Mark Scheifele's been a huge piece. You're going to need guys like Adam Lowry and Mason Appleton, who's got 5 assists, mind you, but you're going to need them to step up because Mark Scheifele has 6 points in 5 games, playing over 17 minutes a game.
That's a lot.
Right? So he's a guy that chews up a lot of minutes. He's your top line center. He's someone you're going to need. Now, mind you, Scheifele's been terrible on the draw. only at 43%. So maybe their face-offs would improve without him out there. But it's funny to see, even though the Jets were better in the season, the Blues in every stat, besides have been better every stat in this series.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying since day one, I think Winnipeg's going to take this series in 7. So we'll see what happens.
And Dan, you are right, actually. Robert Thomas is having an excellent series for the Blues with 7 points in 5 games.
Yeah, dude. He's a stumpy son, bro.
But you look after Thomas and Buchnevich, which that's a real surprise that he's been playing as well as he has. They don't get a lot of the offense is not spread out very well. They have 3 point per game players. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. So for the Jets, if you can find a way to slow down Neighbors, Buchnevich, and Thomas, you know what I mean? You're putting yourself in a much better position. Where you look at Winnipeg, they also only have 3 players who are a point per game in the playoffs. And Mark Scheifele is one of them. But arguably the best player has been Kyle Connor with 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. That's like, I don't think you give Kyle Connor enough credit.
No, I don't. Like, he's a good player. Like, I really respected him after the 4 Nations that benched him. You can tell they really missed him when he wasn't out there.
At least Dan admits that he runs the circus with some of his takes.
Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad, bro.
Going on that Kyle Connor's not a core part of this team is that bad.
I said he was. That's the one that
He's
brought
got
him
9
up.
points, I think. Doesn't he have 9 points in this series?
According to NHL.com/Jets versus Blues /2005/06/22/2222481965. He does not. So
I thought I was a calculator.
But no, I will say this though, and I hate saying this. If the Blues win tonight, they win the series.
No.
Yeah.
I would have said the exact same thing if the Senators beat the Leafs in Game 6. Whoever wins this game, in my opinion, will win the series. Obviously, if Winnipeg gets it, they win the series. But I think if the Blues get it, the Jets are going to just be shell shock.
He's got a 50-50 chance.
And no, I'm not giving them a chance if they lose game 6. They have to win this game, or else the Blues are going to be so bloody confident, especially if the Blues blow them out again.
Yeah, and that's another thing I was going to bring up too. I was looking at the stats too. The Blues have outscored the Jets at home in the series 12-3.
Wow.
So when you talk about just like how bad it really has been for Hellebuyck on the road, it's not like just like another stat where people are just trying to say it to get the noise. It's a real thing, man.
So my question for you guys is, how short of a leash does Connor Hellebuyck have, or Hellafraud, as Alex calls him? And
yeah, Alex.
I see Alex has some good emojis for that stat. You just brought it there late.
It's I don't know what it is about him. Like, again, I've brought up so many times. I think he's just like he's a Vezina goalie, but then all of a sudden the postseason, he's just like another guy.
The funny thing is, though, Darcy
it.
Kemper was kind of the same in LA that series. He's a finalist for the Vezina Trophy, and I'm not saying that series was necessarily all on him.
No,
but he was outplayed by Calvin Pickard.
Yeah.
But seriously, how short of a leash? I see Hellebuyck. If he lets in 2 bad goals early, you got to pull him.
I think I would agree. If it goes like how like Edmonton, LA went, where if you're like first 5 minutes you let in 2 goals, or you're down 3-0 5 minutes in, then I would be like, kick Comrie, let's go.
Has Comrie's a terrible goalie either?
Has Comrie played in this series yet?
Yeah, because Hellebuyck
for sure.
They got yanked twice.
Wow, eh?
And Comrie, you know what? Like to say, it's tough with stats for a backup goalie being brought in because they barely play. So they get a breakaway right away, and then that's the end of the game. They have a terrible stat line.
Yeah.
So, but I seriously think Hellebuyck's got a very short leash.
Especially on the road, yeah, for sure.
Like Jordan Binnington, for example, if he lets in a bad goal, I'm not that worried because Binnington has been able to make his whole career in the NHL. When they need one big save, he makes it.
That's what I'd be saying, yeah.
Benner's a winner, right? That's what they said.
That indeed.
4 Nations, that's the slogan from 4 Nations right there.
But I look at with Hellebuyck, and he didn't play bad in that 4 Nations, though. I do want to put that out there. I honestly thought America could have easily won that game if Binnington did.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe Captain Underpants did something would have won.
Oh, good Lord.
But Kyle Connor has 4 goals, 4 assists in this series.
Oh man, I think he is going to have to step up even more with Scheifele out.
Oh, for sure he will.
Like, this is going to be a really, really, really tough one for the Jets. I think they got to win it.
Yeah,
I really do. I think they absolutely have to win it, and they got to do it with their lines drastically shaken up. These lines are off of daily face-off on what it looks like the lineup is going to be.
Okay. It's a variety top line.
You're seeing there's a big hole there. Now getting Ehlers back is going to help a lot.
I heard he's still a game time decision. I've heard a lot of both.
I think he'll play.
I think he will too, but I have heard there's a possibility.
Dan, what are you doing?
I'm reading the lines. What are you doing? Oh, fuck. Oh, sorry.
I like if Ehlers is here, I do like that second line. I really that's a really good second line. You know, Lowry, Ehlers, and Perfetti. That's a really good line.
You can see Lane is much more professional than we are. We're kind of so laughing at Dan like eating the computer, and then Lane's still just going off. But I gotta agree.
I don't like the first line though. That I like Nemestikov is a good center. I just don't think he can match up as a first line center. Like he feels like a third, fourth line guy. But of course, you have to put someone in that position.
And see, I would switch
Lowry. Maybe?
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too.
He's your captain too. I think he's a guy that you more expect to step up. I think too, you're gonna have to see a big game from Cole Perfetti. I think he's gonna have to. You're gonna need your third line guys to step up.
And who's the third and fourth line center? We've never really heard of them much.
Well, Barron's played all series.
Yeah.
I know. I'll be honest. I know absolutely nothing about this kid.
I actually don't know that guy at all.
Yeah,
but you know what?
The wingers look really good.
Is your power play?
Luke Senn's number 2. If I was number 5.
I like that first unit. That's a really good, strong. I think that's a
really
strong
good
first unit.
as long as someone can win the face-off.
Yeah.
Like, in all seriousness.
Yeah, because you got all wingers. That's right, yeah.
There's a very good chance you lose 20, 30 seconds off your power plays. We saw that a lot. We've seen that a lot this playoffs.
Right.
But I think it's going to be really up to, like, Perfetti and Ehlers and Connor to pick up the slack.
Can you go back up to the defense for a quick second?
Why not, said the fireman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got Luke Schen's jersey number wrong. I don't know why they have him as number 2.
So you look at that defense, in my opinion, and that's if they're going to win the game, that's how they're going to win the game. I don't know 54. All that well.
Pretty decent. He's a pretty decent defenseman.
But the rest of them, that's a pretty good group of defensemen. That's almost as strong as Toronto's defense line. Like, that's a very strong defense. And when you're losing, we're all talking about offense, right? Oh, someone's got to step in for Mark Scheifele, blah, blah, blah. I think we're kind of looking at it wrong, to be honest. I think Winnipeg's got to get the one goal, and Hellebuyck's got to play like a Vezina goalie, and the defense has to set the door. And we were talking with St. Louis. They don't have this big powerhouse offense. So, in theory, this could happen. This could be a very defensive. Look at how good that defense line is for Winnipeg. They are the ones that should step it up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Dan, you make a good point. It really could come down to the defense in Winnipeg.
That's why it helps you eat the computer. I think of good points.
But this is going to be a very tough game for Winnipeg. But I really feel they have to win it.
Me too.
I think this is a must-win game for this club.
I think there was a win. I think Winnipeg will win in 7. That's what I think is going to happen.
And see, I still believe
hopefully
if the Blues win Game 6, they'll win the series.
I know the Wild and Winnipeg's going to be nuts. Oh wait, we're in St. Louis today. Well, the Wild will still be nuts.
They'll still be nuts in Winnipeg, anyways. Just because we're number 1, you're in Winnipeg, and like. Yeah. But I don't know. I would be very concerned if the Jets lose tonight.
Yeah.
And I just feel the doubt that we talk about in Toronto, and we hear about it more here because we all live in the GTHA. Well, except Chazzy, he lives in the middle of nowhere. But that's
because he lives on the Iron Blow, Studio 88.
Studio 88. which sounds like a club to me. I don't know. I think Chazzy secretly owns this club and has all this bumming music behind that. I think the wall behind him's actually fake.
No,
And there's a club back there.
12 feet by 12 feet and paper all over the wall. Chart paper everywhere.
So, Craig, you also feel the Jets are going to win like I do, but how important do you think it is for the Jets to get this done in 6? Like, how critical is this?
I think it's very critical. You're basically rolling the dice on the craps table if you take it to Game 7.
Wow.
And this series,
the St. Louis team, you don't want to give them a little bit more motivation and momentum going into a Game 7.
I'm also going to say,
especially into that building. That building's going to have, no matter if you're visiting or home, like that energy out of that Jets stadium is insane.
Oh yeah,
the whiteout they call it.
The whiteout,
yeah.
No one does it better. No one does it better.
I'm not sure if you guys have seen it online either. There's one guy who dresses up as Waldo at every game, and I love trying to find him.
We're in Winnipeg.
I love that. I didn't know that. That's cool.
I didn't know that.
I don't know, that atmosphere last night in Edmonton was insane.
Oh yeah.
Especially the first 4 goals in 5 minutes.
Oh my god! I was watching that game and I was just going nuts. That was one of the most entertaining playoff games I've watched in my life.
Oh, for sure.
It had everything. It had huge saves, great goals, hits, block shots. It had everything you could ask for in a game. The only thing that could have made it better is if it somehow went to overtime.
Yeah.
That game went to overtime. Would have been
Connor Brown, blow. I love that
a huge
dude.
game, Connor Brown. He was a difference maker.
Yeah.
But a real difference maker in that was Edmonton being smart and pulling Stuart Skinner in time, which is a mistake they had made other years. I go back to when it was Stewart and Campbell, and I get Campbell was terrible in the regular season, but every time they put him in the playoffs, he started to play better.
He did, 100%.
So is there a controversy there now, or you stay with the hot
you have to stay with Calvin.
You have to stay with Pickard. The AHL wonder.
And I'm not even saying Calvin Pickard is a Vezina caliber goalie because, he's not. But he finds a way to make the one save when you need it.
That's right.
So who's next? Vegas? Is it Vegas? Edmonton?
I believe it's Vegas, Edmonton. Yes, Vegas, Edmonton, which Edmonton, last time they faced each other, Vegas won.
That's going to be another series, eh? Oh, wow.
Wow.
Who gets home ice? Oh, I guess Vegas gets home ice.
Yeah.
Alex has a trade to announce.
Picard for Hellebuck. Oh, boy. If I talk about a salary dump.
Hey, you know what, though? Right now, Pickard's finding a way to get it done where I'm still very skeptical on Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm not confident. And I go back to that stat that Lane brought up, too. They can't win at home. I mean, he can't win on the road. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a wild stat.
Like, you look at it, too, like, we talk about how besides a Connor, there's no one else to step up and fight when he's injured. If you're not paying Hellebuck $10 million, it would be. Hella flawed. Ooh.
I don't know. It's just one of those ones that it's very.
Watch him come out tonight and pitch a shutout.
Yeah, exactly.
On his head.
You're muted, Lane. I think somehow your mic got muted, but.
Well, that makes sense.
The struggles of life, ladies and gentlemen. But actually, that's a great point. If Hellebuck puts up a shutout, does everyone shut up about Hellebuck in the playoffs?
Yeah, we go help that conversation.
Or makes 50 saves and they win 2-1.
Yeah. It's the same thing. You got to give the respect. Like somehow you got to give some respect to the Leafs. Yeah, you got to give some respect to Connor Hellebuck if he can show up and prove that, that's not how he's going to play and that he can bring it in the big time games. And this is a big time game.
Oh,
if Hellebuck struggles and you lose this series, all jokes aside, is Winnipeg try to trade him?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I think Edmonton would take him for Calvin Pickard. But
what didn't he just sign a deal? Like how old's his deal?
Do you just do what the Rangers did and just basically say, look, if you're not willing to be traded, we're just going to dump you on waivers?
Yeah. Exactly.
What a move the Rangers made today, picking up the bench boss.
Yeah, I saw it. Looks like Tortorella's for their assistant coach, correct?
Tortorella got assistant?
Ooh.
Yeah, I heard he's going to be their assistant.
Wow.
Oh, of course.
With
And
Sullivan?
Sullivan as their head
Wow.
honcho.
That's interesting.
I don't see Torch
wow.
being an assistant coach.
No, has he ever been an assistant?
Like in like Olympic hockey.
Talk about polar opposites.
Not in NHL. He's always been the head coach.
Did you guys see though the interesting clip? I sent it to Dan at least. What Kyle Dubas talking about firing Sullivan. He just kept going, "Oh, I talked to Sid, but you know, sometimes you just do what you gotta do." And half the players liked Mike Sullivan, and half the players hated him. So I did what I did. I'm Kyle Dubas.
Yeah, he said the other people didn't care.
I like
I'm
Sault Ste. Marie
what?
kids.
Give me back Michael Bunting.
I thought it was
He's the national coach. Like, no.
I hired the
Matt
Sault
Murray.
Ste. I'm hiring the coach from Sault Ste. Marie.
I think
Bring
I
out
was
Trout. Set the players up.
I'm trading all my roster for the OHL.
I think I was one of the most confusing interviews I've seen in my life. It made no sense. Oh, I talked to Sidney Crosby. Who's Sidney Crosby? The owner? Like,
Well,
Now, mind you,
should-
I think I totally agree. You got to talk to Sid before you make any moves. And
I know, but to embarrass yourself as a GM in the media like that, what are you doing?
yeah, he's got to get his from his buddy over there, Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the inside scouting
You know
report.
what,
Hey,
though?
Keefe.
Does Keefe keep his job? Was one playoff win enough for New Jersey?
I would have fired Keith for whatever it was me.
Well,
No, I wouldn't. I don't think it's fair because you lost Jack Hughes. He had
yeah.
a lot of injuries,
Yeah.
and you can't blame I mean, New Jersey they were just kind of a team that went in that last little half there. They just they lost Dougie Hamilton, they lost Jack Hughes. It just you kind of felt that they weren't going to go anywhere in the playoffs, and just kind of felt like, oh, it's inevitable. They're not going to. They to me, they were the one team that I was like, they have no chance.
Yeah, funny enough, when we did our preview show, we said we thought the Devils would be lucky to win one game.
Yeah, I was
My
the same way.
issue was before the playoffs, and when Sheldon Keefe got talking to one of the players about playing in playoff mode, and I would have fired Keefe way fair then. I forget what player it was, but one of the players like, "Oh, the coach wants us to play, and we should be in playoff mode now." Now you should be in playoff mode every game, bro.
Really, they should be in playoff mode preseason game number 1.
Yeah.
No, what's
Yeah, I do.
You step
Look
it up
at
in the
Steven
play.
Lorenz. Steven Lorenz is prime example. Okay, he came here on a professional tryout, not even a full-blown contract, and he played that preseason game like Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals.
So then
And
why
now
don't you
look
like
at
the
him.
New York Islanders? That's basically the Islanders.
Yeah, but that's because they're only talent.
They're Island boys.
The Island Boys.
But no,
Lonely Islands.
I don't think I wouldn't fire Sheldon Keefe just yet. I
No.
agree with you, Lane. I think the only thing that could make him lose his job was the way they lost that game 5. You're up 4-0,
Yeah.
and you blew that lead. Now Jacob Markstrom stood on his head. I don't know if he played outstanding that game. He was so mad when they lost. He smashed his stick on the post. Now I just think for New Jersey they need a bit more. But it's interesting. Did you guys see it? Carolina signed Taylor Hall to a 3-year extension,
I'm not surprised.
just over $3 million per year. Yeah, you know what? Taylor Hall's had a pretty decent playoff for
Well, that's
Carolina.
a steal.
That's a great player to have. Is even though he's obviously Taylor Hall's not going to be the same Taylor Hall that was from many years ago. But if you got Taylor Hall in the third or fourth line chipping in, 20, 30 points a season, gets in their playoffs, scores 2 or 3 goals or something. Like I think you're pretty happy with that. You've got enough top end talent now on the top end where if Taylor Hall can just play in those third and fourth lines, plug and play like a Maxim Pacioretty, just kind of
Exactly.
get those goals, get those assists, be kind of a sneaky player on those bottom lines. I think for Carolina, that's right up your alley.
Oh, 100%. And it's really the way Carolina's built their team is kind of those, like, they're a depth team. And I thought they did a really good job at pivoting when the Rantanen trade didn't work.
Yeah,
I still think they should have. Honestly, though, guys, I go back to that. I think that was a mistake. I know like they got something out of it. I still think it was a mistake.
So do you think? So you're saying once you made that deal, you would have kept Rantanen for the season?
I mean, yeah, you look at it right now, you look at the East, like we talked about it. The only two teams that you feel like can go to the Cup final right now is Florida and Toronto. But if Carolina keeps Mikko Rantanen with that defense that, you have Slavin on the back end, you have Aho, who he's played with. I know they got off to a rough start there, but you keep Mikko Rantanen, who's a deadly winger who can put up goals and points. I think they could have been the team to go to the Stanley Cup. They've always felt like they needed a superstar winger or a superstar player on the forward to get them the big goals when they've never been able to get it. And then they trade it for guys that you got Stinko. I think they got Stinkoven, right?
Yeah.
He's a great player, but he's not.
And you
Mikko
look at
Rantanen.
Rantanen too, the last 2 games, he's got 7 points in the last 2 games for Dallas.
Yeah, but there's a
Unbelievable.
reason
Difference
why all this has happened. You guys are forgetting about is Rantanen's attitude. Okay,
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
a crybaby, and because he's a it's true, bro. Because he was a crybaby, he wasn't putting in his max effort into Carolina.
Dan makes a good point. That's true.
Right?
He was being a bit. There was an I did hear there was an attitude issue there, and that he was like, "Oh, I don't want to play in Carolina. Didn't even want to get traded." I was like, "Well, you did." So
Well,
then he should have signed to Colorado $9 million and be happy. I think what he should have done is did what Kawhi Leonard did in Toronto when he got traded. He knew who in California wants to go to Toronto. No one. He did not want to go to Toronto. Everyone knows he did not want to stay here. But
You're saying that's Rantanen, Dan.
But he played his best. He played his best when he was here. He won the championship, but he went back to California. That's what Rantanen should have done. Instead, he was like that guy, like Wilson's doing here.
that was a classic moment.
Oh my god,
That was so
That's
good.
the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was a lot of meme potential.
It's
there.
even better that sort of wrestling match on the bench went back to junior hockey.
Oh,
I know.
That was
But man,
crazy.
it's tough for me to say with the whole Rantanen situation. It depends if it's all going to depend what Carolina does the next round.
Yeah.
If they beat Washington,
No,
where are we having this
that's
conversation?
not happening.
Why?
Why?
You barely beat Montreal. Yes, it was in 5, but if you're gonna, I'm putting the same scrutiny you put on the Leafs. Because you went on. Oh well, it doesn't matter that Toronto was up 3-0 up through game for overtime. But I'm Ken Moore and I like eggs in my hand, even though I don't like to eat them. I'm putting the exact same thing you are saying. I go back to that Montreal series. Every single game was winnable for Montreal. Could we all agree on that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Montreal did very well in that series for a team that was in the same spot as Ottawa, where they hadn't made the playoffs in a lot of years. They don't have a lot of experience. Their team's a lot younger. They have a young goalie, and they showed they were kind of like the Leafs back in 2017 there, where it's like they weren't going to win this series, but they made it really competitive. And if Sam Montembeault has a few better games, doesn't get hurt, like you said, Jacob, they definitely had a chance to win that series, 100%.
Would you also agree with me that Carolina is a better team than Montreal?
No.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
What do you mean no?
No.
100%.
Why?
Yeah.
They got Taylor Hall. That's very cute and everything. I think Carolina's a very cute team, you know? They do a little dance at the end of the game, a little chicken dance to the fans and all that.
Yeah, because they actually win meaningful games.
I don't know. To me, it was a very cute team. I don't see a really
I think Slavin's better than every single defenseman
being
Montreal has.
competitive.
I agree with you there. I think Slavin is one of the best defensemen in the NHL. He does not get the credit.
That's very true. I do agree with that too. But I don't think Carolina had a point-of-the-game player.
That's true. And what Alex is saying, they can't score consistently. And this is
Holy cow, am I going crazy? Did Alex change his pitcher?
He did.
yeah.
Good on you, Alex. Oh, look how nice and happy they are in the pitcher. Nice, happy couple. Good job.
But Alex is right, though. They can't score consistently. They have had this.
Why did you take off the pitcher? It was a nice pitcher.
Right, guys? And this is the thing I was saying about Carolina is that, yeah, their defense is incredible. Their goaltending, I know they got Freddie and Kochetkov, but it's been good. They make
Actually,
some saves.
Frederik Anderson he's got the best goals against average in the playoffs of a 1.59.
He also scored on his own net.
He's got the best save percentage in the playoffs of a 936.
But it comes down to their scoring.
Yeah.
I look at some of their scoring, and sometimes they just don't have that, like, they don't have a snipe. They don't have a true sniper that can go out there and make a big goal when they need it sometimes. And that's kind of what's been holding Carolina back the past
100%.
years.
And
they always run into a hot goalie, and then they can't score.
I think that's my
but I don't know if Logan Thompson is necessarily. He played great against Montreal, and I'm not denying that. But I don't know if Logan Thompson's the guy that I'm that concerned about going into a playoff series.
Yeah, he's not going to steal a series for you.
Alex is pointing out, Dan, his picture was outdated.
Oh, okay.
That's a newer picture of him.
Nice, cool. Awesome.
But funny enough, we actually look at Carolina statistically, and Sebastian Aho 8 points in 5 games, and you got Shane Dovich with 6 points. Seth Jarvis, guy that I don't think gets enough credit, 5 points in 5 games. Then you got Goss's Bears got a goal and 3 assists in 4 games from the D. You got Jackson Blake, 4 points, 5 games. Logan Stankoven, 3 points, 5 games.
That's
Taylor
Jason
Hall.
Blake's son, by the way.
Jason Blake must be very proud. But I think Carolina is a better team than Montreal right now. I think Montreal, give them a couple years, they'll be a better team than Carolina right now.
I totally disagree. All of Carolina's players that you wind off there, I think they hit the peak of their career. Okay? You look at guys like Nick Suzuki. Nick Suzuki right now is one of the best two-way centers in the NHL, and he's just going to keep getting better. You look at Cole Caulfield, okay? He is one of the best snipers in the NHL. Do Carolina have players like those two? No.
You
Then you look at Sikorsky. He's a big dude, and he's just going to keep getting better. You look at Lane Hudson. Does Carolina have a defense like Swayman? Oh, whatever his name is, Carolina is a good defenseman, but he's nothing like Lane Hudson.
Well, they're not comparable. That's like saying Austin Matthews is not as good as Ryan Reeves because he's not a good fighter.
No, it's not that unrealistic.
Yes, it is. Jacob Slavin's a shutdown defenseman. Lane Hudson's an offensive defenseman. It's like comparing Cale Makar to Luke Shen.
Okay, fine. So does Carolina have any decent offensive defenseman?
Brent Burns.
Okay, but he's 40 years old. He's going to be on a walker any minute.
Hey, he's a good-looking dude, even though he's got
Feel the leadership he brings. Yeah.
Dan, I think
I
think the point Dan's trying to make is everyone whose name is Lane is awesome, and I totally agree with him there. Bang on with that one.
Yeah, nice way to think of that.
But Chazzy, since you wow, Dan, for once we have a new one here. But he actually with Dan for once in a blue moon.
A
brand new thing happening on the Strickers Island podcast. Dan's takes actually make sense. Congratulations, Dan Moore, for your money. You said something that is not so crazy that you didn't get the circus book. You didn't get the clown book. I didn't tell you you're running out of time. I am running out of props. Congratulations, Dan Moore, for your money. For once, you made sense.
Well, see, because I came in late, I had time to think of good points.
So, Dan, I agree with you. Montreal will be a better team later than Carolina. Right now, Carolina is a better team than Montreal.
No, right now. Okay, Carolina started the season really well. They fell apart. Montreal was terrible in December, and they got into the playoffs.
Didn't Carolina go on a 9-game winning streak towards the end of the season?
Well, that doesn't matter. Chazzy, what do you think? Chazzy, back me up here.
I agree with you. Definitely agree.
Hey!
Of course he does. He's a Habs fan. But I could see Carolina beating Washington.
Yeah.
No. No.
Dan, you also told me that Toronto was going to blow a 3-0 series lead.
I mean, I thought that too, but I mean, I
only
say that every year. So
The only advantage Carolina has over Washington is coaching. And I think that could be a big play factor. Rod Brind'Amour is probably one of the most underrated coaches in the league.
that's true.
Yeah.
And
I
honestly,
think
too, I don't see Logan Thompson stealing another series.
Yeah, but Anderson's so like he's
Okay,
making Arby's half the time, bro.
I'm not saying Anderson's a great goalie either, but I don't know. I honestly could see Carolina beating Washington.
No.
I could see that. Yeah.
Okay, but if Thompson
they'll
plays
lose to
bad, you put
Toronto
in the
or
other
Florida.
one that's good.
And then they'll lose to either Toronto or Florida.
Pretty much. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Seems
Like
like
the
what-
West, I really think the West is wide open. I could
Yep.
see any of the teams that are left going on a run.
Yep.
The East, it's kind of down to 2 teams.
Yeah.
That Oiler team though looks on a mission right now.
They
They're
do.
clicking.
That's the thing. So if you
They are
talked to me
clicking.
about Edmonton before the playoffs started,
Goalie or no goalie,
I
like
was
that.
like, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, no, but the thing is, though, and it's going to sound really weird. I'm not saying Calvin Pickard is a Vezina caliber goalie. He makes a save when you need it.
He does.
Look when the Knights
And-
won the Stanley Cup. It's
Yeah.
not like Aiden Hill was going to go win a Vezina, but he
No.
made a save when they needed it.
It's kind of like the Chris Osgoods back in the day. And no disrespect to Chris Osgood, but Chris Osgood was not on the same category as Cujo or Waugh or Bordeaux. But any day he made the 1 or 2 big saves and got the job done and won multiple cups.
Or like Crawford in Chicago.
Yeah, prime example,
He
right?
wasn't a Vezina caliber goalie, but he would make a save.
Yeah.
So
Does anyone want to take a wild stab at what Calvin Pickard's playoff record is? He's played 8 games and he started 6. Does anyone want to take a guess at what his? Because this shock. When I saw this shocked me.
I'm going to say 6-0.
I'm going to say
Close. Dan's close.
5-1.
No. What about you, Chazzy?
4-2.
Jacob was right. He's 5-1
Yeah.
in the playoffs. He's 4-0 this year.
Yeah.
His save percentage is
Wow.
going down 893 with a 293 goals against average, but across the board in the playoffs, a 900 save percentage and 269 goals against average. So he definitely has the net, and I don't think Stuart Skinner ever goes back in the net unless something goes completely off the wall at this point.
Unless Pickard gets injured.
Yeah,
That's going to be a very strange trade at the draft. We trade Stuart Skinner for a 7th round pick.
For Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, no. I don't think Winnipeg would take that. Well, maybe. Who
Depending how
knows?
this series goes, they might.
Yeah,
I was
They're like, if
shocked.
we're going to
Nuggets
get
Nuggets
had
have
Harvard
to
that
draft
in the
goal.
playoffs, may as well pay half the price.
uh,
You know, for
Remember,
33
Hellebuck's
though,
one of the
that's pretty
higher paid
good.
goalies in the NHL at just under $9 million a year.
yeah, that's a lot
That's
of
a
money.
lot.
A lot of money. And he's not doing like what Jake Ottinger's doing in the Dallas Colorado series, where Jake Ottinger's been playing out of his mind.
The only one that gets paid more is Bobrovsky, right?
No,
Yeah.
and
Shesterkin.
Shesterkin,
So
and I
like,
think Vasilevsky.
wow.
Which that Shesterkin contract, we'll see how that looks next year. Because
Oh, boy.
He'll be better. He'll have a better year. He'll bounce back.
I sure hope so.
is that a chassis guarantee?
That is.
Can
Like
you
I said,
hold
the
off
Generals
on
would go to the
Streaker Tap, or
finals.
Will Shesterkin get over a 920 save percentage next season? And then once we wait like 10 months, I'll eventually get my streaker points. But how are you guys feeling about Dallas, Colorado? That series will be done by the end of the weekend.
I think that
Think about it.
Game
That's
7
the
on
thing that
Saturday.
shocked me about the first round here is the Dallas Colorado series could be the only series that goes 7 games.
yeah.
That's a shocker to me.
How confident are you for either team? Do you think both fan bases are kind of on the edge of their seat right now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't know which team's going to show up.
Man, I felt bad for Dallas, though. The game-winning goal was so weird.
It was
I don't know if
very.
you guys saw it. It was...
Well,
Lane and I were watching at that QB Sports
Yeah.
Bar, great little bar in Burrington, and the goal was so weird. Lane didn't even notice it at first.
yeah, I thought it was a high. I looked down for 2 seconds. I was like, oh, that's a cool highlight from a few games ago. I'm like, that wasn't a highlight. That really happened. I was like, what?
That's how weird of a goal it was.
But
So, who are you guys taking to win Game 7 on that one?
Colorado 100% locked. in.
Colorado.
Really?
Oh, 100% guarantee. That's a lane
They're going to win in
guarantee.
Dallas.
No lane guarantee in Colorado.
The lane, no, it's be in Colorado, wouldn't it?
No, it's in
No,
Dallas.
it's in Dallas.
Oh, right.
Dallas on home ice.
Oh, right. I still think they're going to win.
I'm really
100%.
smart.
Yeah, I'm with Lane. I'm with the lane guarantee.
I think that last night, like when we were watching it, I saw Mikko Rantanen score to take the lead. I'm like, okay, this is it. Like Mikko Rantanen, he got the lead. They got the lead, and then they let up 4 goals in the third and had no answer. I'm like, yeah, I just don't think you could stop McKinnon, Makar,
No. My
Landeskog.
only concern for Colorado is how well will Blackwood play. Will be his first Game 7 of his career. And
He's
these
done
games,
well this series, has he?
he's been good enough. But how will he be in a Game 7? Because we know if we're comparing the two goaltenders, the stats aside, that Ottinger is a better goalie. We know that.
Isn't Dallas a little more banged up?
I'm not
A few
really
more injuries.
Who are you picking, Jacob?
I'm taking Dallas.
Really? Why?
I'm taking Dallas. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to special teams, and they got the advantage in the power play and the penalty kill. I think 5-on-5, these teams are very even, but I could see a Game 7, the way the officiating has been in these playoffs, there's going to be some calls. We all know it. And if Dallas can capitalize and manage to hold off Colorado's power play, which they've kept it to 15.8% in this series, if you can do those two things, you will win this game. And if and when that happens, Colorado is going to really have to look at what the heck they're going to do. Because Blackwood's been okay, but he's not been as good as Ottinger. Ottinger is the only reason why Dallas is even in it at a Game 7.
I know, I just can't go over that third period there. Like 4 unanswered goals is so bad.
That was bad. That was very bad, and that was.
You had no answer. Like you had a chance to you had the lead going into the third and a chance to end it like every other team. You had a chance to end it right there and take out one of the toughest teams, and you couldn't get the job done.
Yeah.
And I will say what's tough for the Avalanche, though, and the Stars have not figured out how to do this yet. If you can shut down Nathan McKinnon, you will shut down the Colorado Avalanche.
But that's a big if.
That's a big if.
Really big if.
Points in 6 games this series. He's a plus.
He averages like 5-6 shots a game. It's insane.
Yeah. But like you've been able to shut down, like Nate just has been pretty decent as well. But McKinnon's your only point per game player for Dallas. Besides, Landeskog with 4 points in 4 games.
Is that how he's
Don't
playing?
forget about Makar back on the point. He's got to be almost a point a game.
He should. You think he should be, right?
Yeah, he should be somewhere around there.
He has 5 points in 6 games.
Wow. That's a little shocking.
They've actually been able to contain Cale Makar a bit. I think the Cale Makar, though, him and Taves have been out trying to shut down a lot this series.
Right.
Because Dallas, talk about a team with weapons.
Wow.
Like, you got Rantanen and Hintz and Wyatt Johnson really leading the charge.
So,
however, you need more to guys like Jamie Benn,
Seguin,
and Danilov. Yeah. I think Danilov, too. He's only got 2 points in 6 games. He's been a guy for Dallas that has been, in the regular season, has been able to step up. Dallas has done a great job on the back end, though. Like, Harley is having a phenomenal series, playing just over 28 minutes a game. He has been a dog on a bone.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's going to come down to goaltending in Game 7, which is why I'm giving the edge to Dallas.
It's going to be interesting. It's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, right? On national television, I believe, right?
It is. Or on some random streaming service that I guarantee you Dan can't make work.
Have they announced the second round start yet?
Maybe I'll work in my Dodo box.
Stream East.
I don't know.
I have a bad cough.
The second round.
No one asked my opinion. No one cared.
You said that Colorado was going to win.
When did I say that?
I guess you said it to me earlier today, and I thought it was okay, fine, Dan, mister. I'm butthurt if I don't get to speak.
That's right. So may I speak now, please?
Sure.
I even said please. So you're right, Jacob. At the beginning of our playoff preview, I did pick Colorado to win this series. However, I think this series, you talked about special teams, Jacob. I think this series is the battle of the trades. And at the time, I thought Colorado made better trades. But if we look at the stats, you nailed it on the head, Jacob. Colorado only has one player that's a point per game player, Nathan McKinnon, who they did not get out of the trade. You look at Nelson, your guy Jacob, not playing so hot.
Couple of
Legendary
points, yeah.
Charles Coyle, not playing so hot.
I just gave you there.
He's playing good, but he's not playing as good as Rantanen. And the thing, too, as I'm looking into this, Rantanen, like you said, got 4 points in the last 2 games or some crazy thing. Rantanen turned this series around and put it on fire. And people forget about how important the Michael Godwin and Cody Ceci trade was with Dallas. It really evened out their lineup. So I'm actually switching, and I'm saying Dallas is going to win this series.
Oh.
Like, whoa.
So it's me and Chazzy versus the Moore brothers at this point.
Yeah.
Literally.
And Chazzy, to answer your question, the Leaf series is rumored to be starting Monday. Chris Johnson from TSN's reporting. I thought it was going to be Tuesday.
We argue everyone.
But I guess, too, with the Leafs-Panthers series being some of the ones that ended earlier, we may see the East series start a little sooner.
Yeah.
That makes
Because if
sense,
this was
right?
a 7, it would be what, Sunday? Yeah, so then
Sunday, which you wouldn't see that round, the next round there start until Tuesday. So you'll probably then, if Toronto starts Monday, you will more than likely see Toronto, Florida, Edmonton, Vegas on Monday, and then Tuesday, Washington, Carolina versus someone, because we have no idea who yet. So then, for the West End, are we projecting you and Chazzy and Lane? You're thinking Colorado versus who? Who's coming out on top in the Winnipeg series?
If the
Still
Jets
think
win
it's the
tonight,
Blues.
Jets.
You're thinking Blues, Lane?
Yeah. I said I got to be fair. If I'm going to be critical of the Leafs,
No.
I said earlier I'm not going to go back. I was critical on the Leafs for what they couldn't do. I got to stick with my guts here for the Jets. It's the same thing. They got to prove it to me at this point.
And Chazzy, you're taking the Jets.
Yeah, but if they lose tonight, they have to do it tonight.
They have to win tonight. I really want to swing back on that game because it is currently now 7:42. Puck drops in 18 minutes. Guys, we have talked for over an hour, but it has felt like we've talked for 10 minutes.
I know.
Like,
I already talked for 5 minutes since I was late.
Because Dan wouldn't drive on the shoulder. I'm kidding, Dan. You have to drive.
Actually, I did.
I actually saw someone do that on the 401 yesterday. Like,
wait,
whoa.
Chazzy, you were in the GTHA and you didn't come visit Dan.
Oh, sorry, the
Lane,
400.
or
The
myself.
400.
He's correcting himself now. I'm just upset he didn't bring me
On the way to the 401.
He didn't bring me flowers, so I'm upset. But like Miley Cyrus said, I can buy myself flowers.
That's what
But
I was thinking.
I still feel for Winnipeg. They absolutely have to win tonight. If this goes to 7, the Blues will win.
Nah.
Dan, are you just saying that because you want a Canadian team in? Or do you honestly think Winnipeg can beat those Demons?
Nah, B. I think, like I said, the series is going at 7. I said Winnipeg's going to take it at 7. So I'm sticking to it.
But hasn't St. Louis won the last 14 at home, no?
Something like that. They've been dominant at home.
Unreal.
Then, which the game's in St. Louis tonight. I just feel for the Jets. I agree with Lane. I look, they're basically the Western Conference Toronto.
They
Is
are.
the game on now?
No, the game's on at 8, Mr. Dan.
I don't think it is.
Oh, I know I'm right.
Because that's why I said 6:30 for live.
Well, you're just, I don't know. You had too many soda pops.
He did have a lot of soda pops.
Yeah, well, sweet weeping my legendary cup in the Rogers Center.
He had a big orange crush, and then he had
That's right.
then he had like 3 root beers at the bar. So
Oh, crap. It is 8.
Yeah.
We should have came on live at 7.
No, we've been good. It's been a great show.
Then I would have not been late.
Yeah, but we've also had over 30 people see us on Twitch.
30, yay.
shout out to Twitch viewers. Let's go.
Yeah, shout out to the Twitch viewers. If you guys don't know, we do have a Twitch account, and watch out for there. Some gaming content is going to be coming out there for the next couple months.
Yeah.
So watch out there. Dan's working on a new series. I'm going to be working on a series. Chazzy's going to comb his hair. Chazzy has amazing hair that he's hiding under that luscious hat.
I know Dasco's got some nice hair, too.
Yeah.
You
Needs
what?
to get a haircut.
Alex, come on, you have nice hair, Alex. Don't worry,
What?
Alex.
Oh yeah, he's a good-looking dude. Look how good he looks in the picture. Nice curvy picture.
Better tell Emily to watch out. Sounds like Dan's coming for you.
No, Willie's my dude. I got Willie. I'm happy.
You got your. Yeah, Alex, you are the only one who's been commenting. That is correct. But we have been getting. Funny enough, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but like we will talk directly to viewers live on the show. Either that or a lot of people I talk to like to just have us on in the background.
Is there any Instagram people?
Not at the moment, but that is a-okay, Teddy Bear. I think Dan's a big Teddy Bear.
Yeah. That's funny, Alex. This is awesome.
But I still really feel, you know how I said the Blue Jays, I felt they had to win that game in Boston, even though it isn't that game. I mean, last night in Toronto, even though it's not like defining their season or anything. I feel that about Winnipeg tonight. I get if they lose, yeah, they can go back to Winnipeg and win it in 7. But you don't want to do that. You got injuries that are banged up. Get this done. Rest some guys because you're going to need everyone to beat either Colorado or Dallas. If you're going to make Toronto,
I agree with this.
But if you everyone says, well, Toronto know where they're going to beat Florida because they barely beat Ottawa. You're going to say the exact same thing about the Winnipeg Jets right now. They have to get this done in 6.
Yeah, I agree.
Dan, don't knock over your PlayStation again.
Oh, if I were the bat, I'd move. Yeah, I won't do that again.
Yeah, late. This was early in our recordings before we did live shows. And Dan was like getting mad about me saying they should trade Max Domi. And he like smacked his PlayStation and knocked it out. He's like, it came apart. We put it back together though.
So I've learned not to throw the PlayStation on the ground and not to dump water on the internet box fitting.
Oh my gosh. Well, Dan brought this up now. Alex, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this one before. I've known Alex for years, by the way. Dan, when he was half asleep, dumped an entire glass of water on the internet router and then got mad the internet stopped working.
Yeah, well, that's what it's called.
Like he just dumped a big glass of water on the internet router. He's like, why isn't the internet working? Calls me at work. Fix the internet. Like, what'd you do? Well, I dumped water on it. I'm like, why did you do that? You have to get a new order. That's BS. Come fix it. You work in TV.
Put it on Weiss. I did put my key through the washing machine and the Weiss worked.
I agree. Yeah, Alex has a point. Maybe you just wanted an upgrade, Dan.
Yeah, I think it was too cheap to upgrade it, so that was why
you for the internet, Barry.
We don't want the dial up anymore, bud.
Oh yeah, we had dial-up. I was in like high school. Yeah. For some of our younger viewers, internet used to go through the phone line. In case you didn't know, because I had co-ops who didn't believe me that a fax machine was a real thing. So, but yeah, I'm going to go back to this though. If Winnipeg loses this game, they lose the series.
Yep, for sure. Cassie? I agree.
How do you feel? Am I
right? Agree with you.
Dan, do you still disagree with me?
Yeah.
Well, that's just upsetting.
You can ask me 17 times, just sticking to it, bud.
Okay, so what does Winnipeg have to do then to win tonight?
Be physical.
Goaltending. That's it. That's the hint. That's it. Just make saves early. Hellebuyck has to be not a pylon, and there you go. That's it.
Well, they can't have Dion Phaneuf in net.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Lee. I think more than physicality, they need the goaltending because I think goaltending on paper is the one area they're so much better than the Blues. And this series, it's been, if anything, Biddington's been a little bit better than Hellebuyck, at least more consistent. So if you get the goaltending, you should win this game.
Yeah, you should. But we'll see.
Chazzy, what's your key to victory for Winnipeg?
Yeah, goaltending and keep the shots down because I think St. Louis is going to come out shooting.
Yeah. Speaking of shots, I think the defense just needs to make sure Hellebuyck can see it.
Yeah.
Goals he's been letting in have been from the point with traffic.
Yeah.
I think when a goalie's as good as Hellebuyck, you're not going to beat him clean. So it's got to be deflection, screens, quick pass plays. So I think Winnipeg's just got to clear the front of the net and see, you know what? You spent the money on a depth defenseman and a depth forward. Was that enough? That's going to be the big question coming in and coming out of this series.
Oh, I think it was enough. I think we're going to get.
If you don't beat the Blues, it wasn't.
Yeah, I know. I think we will beat the Blues.
Made the exact same argument about Toronto. If they don't make it to the conference final, then you're going to say it wasn't enough of what they did with Lawton and Carlo.
So this feed here has Edmonton, Vegas starting on Sunday, Carolina, Washington, Florida, Toronto starting on Tuesday.
Where are you seeing that? I mean, I know you're seeing it with your eyes before you be a smart ass.
You got to say the URL like Jacob did earlier.
I'll send you the link.
But that's weird. You normally wouldn't start the second round while the first round's still going.
That close, right? Yeah.
Well, no, not that close. Like, I guess no. The first round could end tomorrow.
No, because if the Blues.
Yeah, but if the Jets win tonight and the Avs end Saturday, then yeah, the first round could end as early as Saturday.
It could, but when would Game 7 be though? Wouldn't it be on Sunday?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think they would be planning that unless they've decided, screw it, we're going to be like the NBA and have all the series starting at all different times.
Yeah, I hate it if we do that.
The NBA is just. What do you guys think of LeBron? Speaking of NBA, quick, what do you guys think of LeBron? Kind of like, he didn't seem that upset about going out.
Yeah, that was strange.
I think it's the opposite.
You think why do you think it's the opposite, Lane?
I just think that he's disappointed. I don't think like he was like showing it, but like he doesn't need to. Like at this point in his career, it's like, he knows his time is winding down. He knows the injuries are piling up. He was kind of quiet in that series. He wasn't really as dominant as LeBron has been, and I think he's starting to see like I got Luka Doncic here, and we were the better seed, and kind of got upset. I just don't think he kind of looks at it like finals or bust, right? Like I think he's just so numb to it at this point, playing 20 plus years in the NBA. It's just like, well, if we didn't make it to the finals, who cares? I don't think that's like he doesn't. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, I do get what you're saying. So then,
he's so numb to it at this point.
Do you see LeBron coming back next year? I think he will. I don't think he will,
but I don't know.
Yeah, you're questioning it, Lane. Lane, you're questioning it?
Honestly, with the way, as when I see a competitor, when you see someone who's as competitive as he is, and he's out there like going like, I don't know, like I don't know, it didn't really seem like he was hungry to be like, you know what? I'm going to come back next year and we're going to run it back and we're going to win the championship. This is going to be a team I believe here. He was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I didn't get that kind of like that he's really like, he looked like he was really questioning it.
I am going to give myself a stupid prop because I want to say a stupid comment. The Toronto Raptors should get LeBron James.
I will.
He's going to come to Toronto in his parka.
Yeah, like.
Clippers or Nuggets? I'm going to go with the Clippers. I think Kawhi Leonard and James Harden are gonna pull it off. I think I've been watching that series. It's been a great series. Michael Porter Jr. has been invisible for the Nuggets. It's been all on Jokic there. I think the Clippers are gonna. I think they're gonna steal it. I really do.
Yeah.
Same thing. The Nuggets could have won. They could have closed it on Game 6, and they didn't.
I'm also going to say the Clippers.
I was going to say Clippers as well. I think Kawhi wants another championship besides up in North Pole here. So,
Super Kawhi.
Man, what a run he had in Toronto, though.
Legendary.
What do you think, Chazzy? Clippers or Nuggets?
Oh, I think the Clippers.
So we're all going.
There's some of the Nuggets that seem off, even though they're staying in this series. There's something off about that team this year, just with the coaching and everything. It doesn't make sense. I
originally thought Clippers in 7, so I'm sticking with what I originally thought. Right? I think this Clippers team has enough to get the job done. I'm not saying the Nuggets are a bad team; they're not, but I think the Clippers will get it done.
Yeah.
What about tonight with being another game that's going on at 9:00 tonight? The Houston Rockets trying to come back on Golden State Warriors. Personally, I think Chef Curry and Jimmy Butler are just gonna finish this off and say, "Thanks for coming, Houston. See you later."
You got Jimmy
Yeah.
Buckets. He's a different animal in the playoffs. Steph Curry, as much as he's getting old, he's kind of like LeBron, where he's not as good as he used to be.
But he still puts up 40-point games every once.
Yeah.
Mind you, I would argue Steph Curry's game is easier to keep up as he gets older because it's not driving and bully ball the way
Right.
LeBron is. It's about getting open for quick threes, right? So I think it's easier for Curry as he gets older. I don't mean easier in a way that what Steph Curry doesn't do is insane. Curry's going to go down as the man who changed the game. For better or for worse, because we've argued it on the show here, he changed the game. If you're wondering, if you haven't seen that one, we argued that NBA has become more boring and stale since it's gone to 3 balls and less driving and dunks and mid-range too.
I would agree with that to an extent, yeah.
But just because there's not as much variety. And Steph Curry's the reason why the game changed the way it did. So no disrespect to Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he opened up a lot of space, right? Like a lot of people never took shots. Like you didn't see half-court shots become a regular thing every night where guys would just walk up half-court and yeet it and make it in half the time.
It's kind of like how I personally think Caitlin Clark's going to do the same thing in the WNBA. I think she's going to be a big change.
I hope so.
I hope so too, because the WNBA really needs, I think for that league to succeed, they need a superstar.
That's true.
And I think Caitlin Clark can be that superstar, kind of like in the NBA, LeBron James and Steph Curry have been the guys in the NBA.
Yep.
Which more now is going to more like a guy like Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic and those guys.
And Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah. Or Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks surprised me this year. I was expecting a lot more out of the Bucks.
Man, I did not realize how bad his free throw percentage is.
Oh, he's terrible at the line.
I think he's out in Milwaukee this year.
You think so?
Could be.
Greek Freak to Toronto.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, let's bring him to Toronto.
You record this, make a video clip of this right now. You're sending me to the circus. He may not go back.
Hey, I mean, that's how wasn't Ujiri a big part of why Giannis Antetokounmpo got into the NBA? Wasn't there something there about that?
Yeah, and I will say, Masai Ujiri is willing to make a 1-year splash to try to make it a championship. He did it with Kawhi, trading DeMar DeRozan. And man, I remember at the time when he made that trade, I was so mad.
Yeah,
I want to watch that documentary. I don't know if it's out yet, but I want to watch that.
I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen clips of it on TSN, and it was really interesting. Now, LeBron and not LeBron. DeMar DeRozan and the Raptors are all good again, but there was a time DeMar, he was furious.
Oh, no kidding.
And you know what? I get it too, because when we talk about the core guys in the Maple Leafs locker room, and there's times we've said there's a lack of effort. I never felt that with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry when they kept losing to LeBron James every year.
Yeah,
that team was giving it everything they had.
Funny fact, I was actually at the game. The only time we ever beat LeBron. I was actually at the playoff game.
Oh wow,
cool.
That's a fun fact. I just happened to get tickets that night. That was the only time that the Raptors ever beat LeBron in a playoff game. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Wowzers,
that's sweet. But you guys think about when you get a guy like Kawhi Leonard, you gotta give something up the other way. We're not just going to take 17 first-round draft picks for him. We want a good player coming back.
But yeah, I if you're gonna move what you move, you got to get good players back. I do agree.
Yeah. Now, the people on Twitch, can they comment?
Yes, they can.
Cool.
But we'll kind of have to see how things go in the NBA. But yeah, you know what, Chaz, you want to think about the more I think Antetokounmpo could be on his way out. But I think it's time we're on our way out so we can watch the game tonight between the Winnipeg Jets.
I need some food.
Dan, you're always hungry.
Yeah, bro. Oh, and also, people, don't forget to watch us tomorrow as we're going to the Island Studio 88 for the Kentucky Derby. So give us watch out for that, and maybe some golfing on the VIP putting green.
Dan, why are you promoting Chazzy making us look bad at golf?
No, he's teaching us.
He's going to kick our butts.
He's going to teach us how to golf better.
But quickly, before we sign off for the night, one last time, who's winning tonight? I say the Winnipeg Jets will get it done tonight and close out the series. But if they don't, they lose the series. But for tonight's game, I'm saying Winnipeg. Lane, I'll let you go next since you're our special guest.
The St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis Blues. Chazzy, who are you taking?
The Winnipeg Jets.
Dan?
Well, I want to say Winnipeg. I'm obviously a Jets fan, but I said Winnipeg in 7, so Blues got to win 6. I'm just saying.
I think Alex wants some pizza. Just
Oh, I missed Delicioso pizza.
Man, Delicioso was great. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
sidetrack here. I remember I used to when I lived in
skip
That
another
was
half an hour
great pizza.
conversation.
when I lived in Sault Ste. Marie. Dan,
Yeah, I was going to say that, Jacob.
we
You
used
see,
to buy them for like $3 on sale at No Frills.
I would have bought like 40 of them and kept them.
we
Oh, the
showed up.
funny story was one of our buddies. He tried to make a pizza, Ficker, Dan, if you remember, and he left the cardboard underneath the pizza.
I forgot about that.
It set his whole house on fire.
At least he didn't set the kitchen on fire. But
We should start a trend. Hashtag bring back Delicioso pizza. Crap.
Canadian.
That's right.
But
Bring
thank
it
you
back.
everyone for watching the Streakers Island podcast today. Make sure you watch the game. We will have our thoughts on the whole first round on the Tuesday edition of the episode of the podcast. Make sure you download the Streakers app, play along. You want any videos or clips that you want takes from the show, send them our way. We'll use them and talk about them live on the air. And who knows, you do that enough, maybe you can become another special guest like Lane Dashing Dashco. You won't be as dashing as Lane, but you can be on the air with us. But I'm Jacob Moore, sports analyst, self-proclaimed, self-made. I like to wear a hat. We have Mr. Fedora, Dan Moore, More First Money.
Woo!
Chazzy, the CEO, and Lane Dashing Dashco. So until then, with the clean shave face, we will see you later. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.